What is the key to developing total command and control over your serve? I'm talking about the kind of command that gives you crazy confidence over your serve. The type that you see Federer or Sampras hitting in high pressure situations, right on a dime. You see, having supreme control and placement on your serve is one of the most important aspects of your game. And it's actually something you can develop regardless of age, shoulder flexibility, or the overall strength that you have. And in fact, all you need is, advanced motor functions over complex and nuanced motions all in your shoulder and in your entire body, coordinating all these motions within the span of a couple milliseconds, all while accounting for your opponent, the nerves, and the wind. Seems simple enough. No, as always, in RacquetFlex fashion, we're going to be simplifying all of that so that you can go out to the court and learn, apply, and win. So let's go. In order to develop control over your serve, we first need to know exactly what it is. So at the most basic level, control is your ability to direct the action or the function of something. Specifically in tennis, it's our ability to direct the ball and place it exactly where we intend it to. Now, we can actually break down how much control you have over the serve down to 3 levels: consistency, precision, and accuracy. Now, yes, many people actually use these words interchangeably and kind of mix things up, but as you get to the higher levels of tennis, these little differences actually make a huge difference. So let's actually visualize it. The easiest way to visualize control over the serve is with a dartboard. So level 1, we have consistency. This basically refers to whether or not the ball is in. It's pretty binary, just yes or no. Now level 2 is precision, and this is where things start to get a little interesting. Precision refers to how close your results are to each other, regardless of where the target is. As long as you're hitting repeatedly in the same location, even if it's at the back of the fence, you're getting precise. Then finally we have level 3, accuracy. Accuracy is all about measuring how close you are to actually hitting that bullseye, that target. If your results are pretty spread apart, but in relative to the target you're aiming for, it's pretty close, that's when you start becoming accurate. Now, I want to give a quick shout out to Tomas over at Field Tennis, because these terms are actually used in the field of science, and he was able to actually bring that over and transfer it into the skills of tennis. So if you want to check out his article talking all about this, I'll leave it down in the description below. Now, when you're able to repeatedly get consistency, precision, and accuracy into your serve, you'll be hitting your targets like a highly trained sniper. So let's break it down, starting off level 1, consistency. So consistency is the first step to developing more control, because if we're not hitting the ball in the box, we're not going to be hitting anywhere close to the lines. Now, technically, consistency and precision could mean the same thing. Basically, it refers to how repeatedly you can achieve a consistent result. But in tennis, consistency can be a little bit more broadly termed as whether you got the ball in the box or out of the box. So at the rec level, if you can increase your consistency while keeping a modest level of power, you can actually win most of your matches. So yes, technically you could win by not double faulting any of your serves and successfully attacking your opponent's serves. But as you start playing higher level returners in tennis, just getting the ball into the box simply isn't enough. And if you continue to decrease your serve speed or placement or accuracy just for the pure sake of getting the ball in, you might actually start losing matches because you're losing more of your service points. So instead, we need to start hitting more specific points, like setting up a box within the service box. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, if you're missing over half of your serves, then obviously you're giving away too many points. But if your serve is also above around 70% in terms of consistency, then chances are you're probably still not serving aggressively enough. And now you can start to see the problem with confusing consistency, precision, and accuracy. It's not always true that the more consistent you are, the more you actually start to win. Now you might be asking, exactly how consistent should my serve be? Well, if we take a look at the best servers in the world, you'll see that they're not hitting drastically more consistent than other players. In fact, this article on Bleacher Report showed that the most important metric to win in tennis is the percentage of first serve points won, not the percentage of first serves in. Let's take Federer, for example. He wasn't necessarily known for hitting the fastest serves on the tour, and his consistency was also pretty average at around 65%. But opponents still feared his serve because he was able to hit those spots that elicited weaker returns with a higher level of control. So that's what takes me into level 2, precision. If we looked at a heat map of your serve, precision basically refers to how clustered together your results are to each other. If you're hitting some in the net, some 5 feet out, and some totally on the other side of the court, then this means that you're not precise enough. And this usually means that something in your service technique is off. It's inconsistent, and that's why you're producing a lot of variability in your results. And without a solid, repeatable serving motion, aka precision, it's impossible to develop a serve with true confidence. This is because you're tossing the ball up without any real clear intention, and your mistakes start to feel random. And more importantly, when you do make a mistake, you don't know exactly what caused them when you step up to the line, and that forces you to make the same mistakes over and over again. So how do we develop precision? Well, the fastest way to increase precision on your serve is to tame your toss. This is because if we're still chasing our toss around, it's gonna be impossible to get a consistent contact and actually aim your serve. Now, of course, even pros aren't robots. I think. Yet. So their toss isn't gonna be exactly identical every single time. In fact, one analysis showed that Federer and Djokovic has tosses that range for anywhere from 7 to 8 inches. And other players on the tour, like Auger Aliassime, has a toss that ranges over 2 feet apart. Now, of course, while players could be adjusting their toss based off of whether they're hitting a flat or a slice serve, for the most part, the repeatability of Federer and Djokovic's toss is exactly what gives them that added level of precision and, on top of that, disguise. Now, if you want to see a detailed breakdown of the toss, make sure to check out our video here, and I'll leave it in the description. You know what? I'm gonna leave the whole Serve Masterclass series in the description below, so go check it out. Now, along with precision in the toss, the stance that you have might have a little bit of an effect on how precise you are. Players with a platform stance are usually known to have a little bit more advantage in terms of control. This is because you don't have the added complexity of dragging that back foot up, and it decreases the chance of variability. But at the end of the day, the fundamentals of good precision are a consistent toss, a good serving rhythm, and a clean contact. And now we come to accuracy. Accuracy is one of the most powerful but difficult qualities to execute in your serve. If your serve is accurate, this means that most of your serves will be clustered around the target that you're looking for, and not just spread out throughout the entire service box. Interestingly enough, there isn't an official measurement for accuracy on the Pro Tour, but we all know that accuracy is important. So the question here is, how accurate should we actually be? And how close do we need to be aiming for the lines? One analysis of Raonic's serve in the 2009 Australian Open showed that about 72 to 76% of the first serves he made were within 4.9 feet of the service line. But a study published by Miha Mlakar, who I'll link to in the description below, started to give us a bit more clues. Mlakar measured the serve speed along with the serve accuracy, which in this case is how close to the lines the ball landed. This is because there's a correlation between the return speed and the amount of serve points won. So the study showed that faster serves typically result in slower returns, but the correlation is low. And it wasn't just that faster serves didn't do much damage. If you're serving hard to a higher level opponent's strike zone, they're simply redirecting the ball's pace and using it against you. And more specifically, if the serves fall closer to the line than about 60 centimeters or 23 inches, the accuracy and return speeds are greatly correlated. So at the end of the day, some players will prioritize power over accuracy, and others vice versa. Let's take somebody like Roddick, who blows right through their opponents with his sheer power, compared to somebody like Federer, who relies on precision and accuracy to gain their edge. But I want to extend this conversation to you guys in the comments below. What do you think is more important, power or accuracy? Now, let's cover exactly how to develop accuracy on your serve. Now first, the more consistency and precision you have on your serve, the better you're setting yourself up for good serving accuracy. This is because if you're able to reproduce the same result and you have a certain amount of repeatability in your technique, you could actually start to hit more reliable spots and start aiming closer to the lines. Now, as we mentioned in our slice serve video, top players are making very nuanced adjustments to actually time the internal rotation and the contact angle to either hit a serve out wide or a strong one down the tee. On the flat serve, players are using this internal shoulder rotation and forearm pronation motion a little bit faster so that they're rotating into the shot and hitting through the ball out to the right. But on the slice serve, we're actually going to be delaying this internal shoulder rotation motion so that the strings are slightly closed off, creating more side spin and changing the direction of the ball at contact. Now these motions are simply happening way too quick to be able to process actively and consciously every single time. So the key here instead is to develop more of a clear image on exactly where on the court you're trying to hit, and also develop an intuitive feel over your contact point so that you know exactly how to make those nuanced adjustments instead of trying to consciously adjust your technique. One of the best pieces of advice that I've heard was from one of my friends. A common mistake that I see even intermediate and advanced players making is when they miss their serve, they consistently blame their technique or their racket strings. That your control over your serve might be perfect, but simply where you're actually trying to aim is totally off. It's like if your rifle was inaccurate. You have to figure out, was it the barrel or the scope that was off center? You see, when most players are trying to aim into that box, they're focusing on just two dimensions, left to right. Directional control, meaning left to right, as well as height. But they completely forgot about the last dimension, distance. So let's say you're aiming the ball into a specific box in the court, and let's say you're missing a lot of your shots. Chances are the box that you set for yourself is too wide or too big, and you actually have less room for error than you thought. So the easiest way to imagine this is with triangles. So imagine we're at the service box, right? The position that we're standing in is point A, and the two widest or maximum angles that we can hit before the ball starts to go out is point B and point C. If you take a look at a court from whatever position that you're in, you actually start to see the lines beginning to converge. So how does this exactly relate to the serve? Well, as we start moving further and further back, let's say all the way to the baseline, now there's less of a contact angle that you actually adjust to actually hit all the way down the tee or all the way out wide. In other words, the closer you are to your target, the more leeway you have in terms of adjusting the motions in your arm to get the ball where you want, on top of having greater angles, of course. But as you start moving back all the way to the baseline, you have way less angle to choose from. So while it looks like you're aiming into a square, you're actually aiming through a triangle. And the distance of your shots is controlled by the angle of your racket face. Now, an important note here is that when you're trying to aim for your targets, you don't want to slow down your swing. If you're actually a beginner or an intermediate server, I actually recommend that you work on developing serve power fundamentals first and don't focus on hitting the ball on a dime. By training power first, you're usually removing any tightness in your swing and making sure that you have the consistent fundamentals of your swing before you start moving on to these little micro adjustments. Now, one of the most important keys to developing both power and control into your serve is the specific type of backswing that you have. And there are three kinds based on the playing style, the body type, and the serving rhythm that you have. So if you haven't already, check it out. Click the first link in the description below where you can take our free quiz to find out exactly what backswing is best for you. It just takes 2 minutes and you'll be well on your way to developing the perfect serve style that gives you the serve of your dreams. And as always, athletes, if you like the video, Smash that like button and let us know in the comments below what you want to see next. And until next time, go out and train hard. I'll see you in the next video.